The import rule in League of Legends has been a controversial topic for many years now, and I know Travis Gafford's not on YouTube before, but in doing some research for this video, I realized just how often this was talked about back whenever the red herrings were starting to show their signs.
I heard that the owners had officially submitted a request to Riot Games to remove the rule that requires them to field North American resident players on LCS teams. It's time to change the import rule. And if you are a team owner or a GM, you are watching this interview and you're like, finally, he's on our side. We've been saying this for years.
And while unfortunately Travis is no longer talking about North American League of Legends, and it feels like a lot of the content creators in the space, unfortunately, are either on hiatus right now or this just hasn't become a focal issue, we have to talk about it again. Because all the warning signs of what would potentially happen have. And there's broader points to be made here. Now, I do need to start off this video with this specific statement because I saw a friend of mine on Twitter mentioned about it, and I think it's worth saying no matter what. My issue with how importing is handled in North America is a problem that is directed towards the teams and towards the GMs. That is not directed towards any of the players. And I understand this topic in general can come off to some people as naturally insensitive. If you're not from America and this isn't your region, I don't expect you to be able to relate to what I'm going to say. European fans, I think, get it more than most due to how their region's made up. But for any Korean fans and players that see this and see, man, he hates freaking Korean League of Legends. No, and I love all our players and I love all our imports that we do have. But there are some underlying problems that we have to talk about that need to be solved. Let's go to where all this starts, okay? The root cause of importing in North America is because teams do not believe that they can win on the international stage with just North American talent. And that's a valid point purely because we simply won't. There's a reason why Korea has won Worlds T1's won 3 straight times, Korea's won 4 straight times, and everybody looks to Korea for their talent. I'm not oblivious to that fact. I'm not oblivious to the idea that yes, 5 North American players, even if you took 5 Korean players from the Challenger League and brought them over that have insane potential, they'd probably be better, potentially. This is a sentiment that was just echoed by Papa Smithy as of this past week whenever the conversation kicked off around how, quite frankly, you need to win, though, to be able to build a fan base. To which I would say, you're not wrong to a certain extent. Obviously, you're not going to be able to be a Dignitas and build a fandom whenever you're constantly finishing last in this league. But the thing I would say is, how many times do we have to prove that you can win LCS, you can win series on the international stage, and it means nothing at all in terms of growing a fandom? Like, all of these arguments that importing is going to make our region more competitive. Well, it technically has, but our international results haven't improved as a result of that. That was the thing that people were saying. We have seen the number of imports, whether from Korea or beyond, increase year over year over year. And what do we have to show for it? We have declining viewership. Like, you have arguably had more results on the international stage in 2023 and 2024 than since what, 2019? And nobody gives a shit. Because the reality is, this is not about imports needing to win you titles in North America and win on the international stage to be able to develop a fandom. You are just doing a piss poor job at branding yourself as teams to be able to grow a fandom, because everybody lives in that goddamn West Coast bubble and thinks that winning is everything, when in reality, you're just not tapped into half of the fucking country, or actually not even half, 75% of the country that is east of Texas that has traditional sports fandom. We will watch the shittiest matchups of all time if you give us a reason to cheer for you, but none of the orgs have. But I get it, technically a separate point. I just say that to note that no, winning clearly has not solved our problems. Increased importing has not increased the competitiveness of our region to the point where it is more watchable when viewership continues to go down. So all those points are goddamn irrelevant. So the import rule, as it stands right now in North America and in global League of Legends, is that you are allowed 2 players that are not from North America on your team, and then the rest should be NA. But we as a region have been given a bunch of special caveats, including Australian players, including now the introduction of, I believe it's LLA teams that are allowed to come up and declare like one-time residency, so we have an influx there. There have been a lot of moments over the last 10 years of League of Legends where North America has gotten the chance to absorb some other regions as they have dissolved that other regions haven't gotten the chance to do. So we've been given preferential treatment on this issue, which is bullshit in and of itself. But it's also led to the problems where we are now, because what happens in North America due to our green card process here, as Travis called out on his video 2 years ago and in his video 4 years ago, is that people become residents. And then the second they become residents, well, instead of that being, okay, great, awesome, they don't count as an import slot, but that doesn't mean we have to use it. No, they're going to use it immediately and import again. So what happens then? You have import talent that comes in that makes up 2/5 of a roster. And I understand that when players get their green cards, they have been here for a bit and they are representative of North America, but they're also not the players that have grew up in our system that we need to make sure are getting opportunities on the biggest stage. We constantly hear tier 2 people screaming out, hey, I'm not getting chances. Toasty Alex, notably not getting a chance in the LCS this year, possibly rumored to be going over to G2's European tier 2 team, in addition to Yukino, who's with K-Corp Blue. I mean, Griffin went down to the CB. Like, it's really getting ridiculous at this point. Don't even get me started on Yuji. So before you know it, you get these squads that, even though they are technically North American by residency rules, the reality is a lot of fans aren't able to connect because they didn't grow up in our systems here. The way they interact with people are different. And that's not saying that we don't love them, but it is noting that there's a fucking culture difference. Also, the one to call out, because people were a little bit confused on it when they're like, is Huhi really being counted as American? Yeah, he's an American citizen. He doesn't even go towards the Korean count that I know a lot of people get, like, really, it's really simple. So the question becomes, well, what do we do here? Okay, because the LCS is bleeding viewership. People are clearly upset by this, regardless of whether people in the comments of this video or I've seen elsewhere on Twitter being like, oh no, like, we want things to be the most competitive they can possibly be. Bro, the numbers don't lie. I'm sorry, they don't. People don't give a shit, and that's because we as a region have been acting under that philosophy of we need to be competitive at all costs, which means you're going to take Korean talent over North American talent for going on like 8 years now. So, like, can we stop with that? Like, I don't understand how people still maintain that philosophy is like the thing, and people are like, oh, we need to be more competitive. That's what'll make me watch. No, you're not. I'm sorry. North America could win Worlds tomorrow, okay? And I still don't think people would give a shit about the teams in North America. They would still follow the player to wherever they go next because they would get poached by somebody else with a much bigger contract in a different region because we don't have the money anymore for that. So, I've got 2 options of where we go from here. None of these unique solutions, okay? These have been suggested for years now. Travis mentioned it in his video 4 years ago when he was talking about this. The whole conversation was around lifting the import rule. So I'll start there because that was the first bit. If your argument is that you want the most competitive teams and it doesn't matter who's playing for what team, they just need to be good, you need to lift the import rule in its entirety. It'll kill North America. I'm telling you right now, it'll fucking kill us. And I know whenever other content creators have talked about this, they've been a bit more passive. Travis kind of led the charge on this for years and was very, how do I say this? Was more gentle with this. I'm not gonna be. That's not my personality. If you lift the import rule, you might as well get rid of all the goddamn regions at that point. Just form a global league, which, hey, I'm not necessarily opposed to. To be very clear, I'm a team guy over everything. I have no issue with that. People got on me for the TL Morgan stuff. All of that shit's fine if you lift the import rule, because then the expectation is not, hey, this is supposed to be a region that's representative of North American players. No, that just means it's the LCS and whatever identity they want to assume for that. That's perfectly fine. Go down that rabbit hole if you want to. That's an option for you. Or second is to drop the amount of import slots to 1 and somehow find a way to make it more complicated or like more difficult. Maybe that's like a time limitation to it. I know there were people that said like, oh, once you get a green card, you are technically available to residency rules. I don't know what Riot could do to change this. Maybe that's get rid of the grandfathering rules that have been in existence for a long period of time that really hurt us, but our green card process also throws a kink in that. Either way, I just want to see rosters made up of 3 North American players, minimum. I don't care if you import. I really don't. But I care that we are still, if we're going to be in the system, have it be a representation of North American talent. And I know what some people might say, oh, that's going to make us worse. That's fine. I'd rather watch that. If the intent of the league is to be an NA league, let the league be a reflection of where that's at. If we're shit, we're shit. And we have to work to fix that. and develop our players and develop our ecosystem and our structure into people that are like, oh, that'll kill the lead. Really? Has CBLOL died? What have they done? What have they done? And yet they're still perfectly fine. Okay, so that point is bullshit and I will not be hearing it. But even though those are the two options, okay, the reality, in my opinion, because I like to try and be realistic on this particular issue, is that it is entirely on North American GMs to get their heads out of their asses, okay? Because I don't think the import rule is changing for lesser or for more. I don't think it's being touched. I don't think Riot cares enough globally, and the LCS is too much of a pebble in the bigger pond for them to care. But my message here is to LCS GMs. Get your heads out of your asses. Stop feeding me the same shit that you've been telling me for the last 8 years that we need this to grow a fandom. Meanwhile, you haven't grown a fandom. You haven't done anything that has gotten us to that point of 2017, 2018. The hype's dying. I keep hearing it from every different goddamn angle. And it's like, you have the ability to choose, okay? And if players don't want to sign with your teams because you're not importing enough and they don't think it's going to have a chance, good, tell them the fuck off. Like, it's that simple. Like, you are in charge of fixing this problem, assuming nothing else changes. You can be the ones that pick North American talent and the players that have come up in our ecosystem and are representatives of our region to actually represent the orgs, and then find a way to market them to your fan bases and try and grow a fandom from there, which you will be surprised how many North American fans find that more relatable than the content you are not currently able to get out of the many imports that take a year and a half to adapt to American culture. That's it. And look, I learned my lesson in doing the research and like truly seeing how many videos Travis had about the import rule. And if there's one thing that I've learned from him, you know, in a positive or negative way, depending on how you view it, is that I'm not going to sit here and wait for other people to try and make the moves that I think they should make. Okay? Regardless of what team I end up picking as part of my fandom, you best believe, whether they like it or not, I am going to push like hell for North American talent to always be the central point of this, as well as the geolocation and pushing of New York City stuff and beyond. Like I talked about that on Monday. This video will go out on Wednesday. I ain't just going to quietly wait and be like, oh, you know, maybe Riot should do something about this. Nah, I'm lighting a fire under the ass of people that actually can do something about it right now. I'm not waiting for Riot on this one because I waited for them for the LPP, and that took 3 years to happen. So I'm not touching this import rule thing. You can just be better as a team. And if I ever hear anybody tell me, oh, well, that's just not realistic to make happen. No, you could do it right now. Oh, well, we can't have road trips. We can't do this. No, you could work towards it right now. Shut your fucking mouth and do it. You make the opportunities for yourself. You build those fandoms for yourself. You don't wait on anybody else to take action. That's my import rant. I don't think I'm going to talk about it again for a bit unless more information or news comes up, because I've said my piece and I've given my solutions to the problem, which I know many others are just going to voice complaints about it. Those are my answers. So if you enjoyed this, be sure to drop a like, be sure to subscribe. I'm sure the comments on this video are going to be fantastic. Some will be great. Some, I already know what's coming. I shit talked Chovy on a short the other day and somebody's like, oh, you're being toxic. It's like, no. Or he could just win and I'll stop calling him a choker. That's the type of mentality I got. You got a problem with that? This ain't gonna be the place for you.